Hear ye, gather round for another edition of Young Kings Wrestling, featuring the Sovereign Soundboard. As always, you can find us on most platforms streaming your favorite podcast episodes, including Spotify, iTunes, YouTube, Google Podcast, and iHeartRadio, among others. And if you're listening on iTunes, we prefer that you leave us a review of the 5-star kind. Links to all the platforms and the merchandise are available at ykwrestling.com. Hey, shout out to SeatGeek for sponsoring today's episode. If you don't know about SeatGeek, it's a ticket app that takes the confusion out of buying tickets. They put a 0 to 10 score on each ticket to know if you're getting a good deal or a bad deal. You want to know how it's good? The tickets are green. You want to know how your tickets are bad? It'll be red. It'll show you everything you need to know. So what you got to do is go to SeatGeek, find what you want to go to, whatever event is in your city, whatever concerts in your city coming up, maybe some wrestling. You never know. Hey, go to checkout, put in YK Wrestling at the promo code. You get $20 off of your order. Hey, it got to be $50 or more though. But hey, listen, inflation, tickets are high. It is what it is. Hey, I am the thespian TC Fontaine. I'm joined by, nobody at the moment. Reek, Havoc, Reek, whatever his nickname would have been this afternoon. He is on assignment. But listen, we got a special guest to sit down today. This one, I had to reach out to him. I've seen my Las Vegas Aces won the championship, and that same day, I've seen one of the coaches, Coach Tyler Marsh, the head of player development. He said, "Hey, Triple H, we need a championship belt." And I said, hey, he's a big wrestling fan, y'all. I had to get him on the show, man. Y'all are going to love this conversation. We talk about everything under the sun, including his coaching journey over the last 10 years. And he's been everywhere, man. The NBA G League, NCAA, the NBA, where he won a championship with the Toronto Raptors in 2019. Now he is currently in the WNBA, coaching as the head of player development for the current world champion Las Vegas Aces. You know, we got to talk about some wrestling on this show too, man. And you might be shocked to know which of your favorite NBA stars rock with the square circle. I was shocked too. In the meantime, check us out at ykwrestling.com. Follow us on everywhere, Twitter, Instagram, Facebook at YK Wrestling, and subscribe to our YouTube channel. Subscribe to the Havoc Hour YouTube channel. You already know about that. Sports, movies, anything under the sun. And while you're at that, enjoy this conversation with Coach Tyler Marsh of the Las Vegas Aces. Welcome, ladies and gentlemen. Today we're going to flip the script a little bit, man, because we have a very special guest here today. Now, you're probably wondering what makes this wrestling fanatic so special is because wherever he goes, gold will follow. It's a fact. It's a factual statement. He is an NBA G League champion with the Rio Grande Valley Vipers. He is an NBA champion with the Toronto Raptors. And most recently, he's a WNBA champion with my favorite team. You see him in the back. Oh, they right here. You see him in the back, Las Vegas Aces. And he's a wrestling fanatic just like us. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Young King's throne. Las Vegas Aces head of player development, Coach Tyler Marsh. Come in. How's it going today, Coach? Thank you for joining us.
It's going great. Thanks for having me.
Man, Saturday afternoon, it's lovely outside. You in Las Vegas right now?
I am. Yeah, me, my wife, and my son.
Awesome, man. So yeah, I'd like to thank you for coming along. You have a well-traveled journey in coaching over like the last 10 years or so. So correct me if my research is a little bit spotty here. You started out as a player development coach for the Vipers in the G League, right?
Yep.
All right. You won a championship under Nick Nurse, transitioned that into, gigs with the Iowa Energy, the Bakersfield Jam, and the Fort Wayne Mad Ants of the G League. You had to stop quickly at Alabama A&M before you rejoined Nick Nurse with the Toronto Raptors. Won a championship with the Raptors. That was a crazy year. You spent 2 years after that with the Indiana Pacers before joining Becky Hammon's staff with the Las Vegas Aces earlier this year. So you helped bring Toronto and Las Vegas their first major championships in basketball in 1 year. You got the magic touch or something like that?
Nah, I'm just blessed, man. I've been blessed to be in some great situations, some great opportunities, and to work with some of the best players and coaches in the world. So I couldn't really write the script better myself. It's just I give all glory to God and just kind of go with the flow.
Man, Nick Nurse, Becky Hammon, Rick Carlisle, those some names right there. So
for sure,
we're in a good position. Your first year working with the Aces, I looked at it from the outside looking in. I watched the games on TV. Unfortunately, I couldn't make any games this season. That will change next year.
Sure.
I can't miss that. But describe your first year working for them. Like, just from watching like the past few years, like they have so much potential to be something special, but like we just couldn't get over the hump. Get Becky Hammon, get everybody on that staff, and first year won a ring. Like, how was that?
Yeah, it was amazing. I think that you mentioned it. The Aces had a plethora of talent already in place, and it may have just been time for a new change in leadership. And I think the most obvious change that we made was the style of play that we wanted to incorporate, and that's probably the most glaring change. Just it's almost a complete 180 from the style of play that the Aces have been accustomed to the last couple of years. So we came in with the focus and the mindset of trying to open up the floor a little bit and allow these players to play to their strengths a little bit more, to get out in the open court. We got a very talented, very athletic, and a very fast-paced team that we wanted to kind of build the offense around. And the buy-in that we had defensively as well was huge. I think that there's a number of players that had to adapt their game to the style of play, and we were able to do so. And credit the players for buying in and to coming together, and we made it happen.
And it's very fun to watch. So you moved here in April after the Pacers season ended. You got announced, hired to Becky Hammon's staff as the player development coach. How has it been adjusting to living in Las Vegas compared to like Indiana, everywhere else you lived at? And then also like adjusting to fatherhood recently, like big week a couple weeks ago.
For sure, yeah. To answer the first question, Vegas has been awesome. It's a great place to live. You can kind of get caught up with everything that the Strip entails, and then you kind of, if you're not from Vegas, that's kind of all you know Vegas for. But once you get to the suburbs and the outskirts of Vegas, it's a really calm place to be. It's not a lot of traffic in the city. I'm from Miami, so it's Miami, Florida. So it's similar but different. There's a lot going on, but away from it, you can find some cool spots. So my wife and I have been adjusting to it pretty well. We always knew that Vegas was a place that we could kind of see ourselves just from the times that we visited in the past. And it just ironically happened that, that a few years later after we got married that we moved here. So it's been pretty cool. And it's kind of the way my life has been has kind of prepared me to be adjusting to anywhere really on the fly. My father's a college coach, so I grew up under that kind of lifestyle. And so Vegas is one of maybe 16 or 17 different places I've lived at throughout my life, just growing up and in my own career, coaching career. So that part hasn't been tough to get adjusted to. And then I think what also helped is just the way that the city embraced the team. That accustomed everyone, all of us who are new on staff, it made us feel welcome. Made the transition easier because, once the NBA season ended, we hit the ground running. We didn't have much time to kind of simulate and have an off season like a normal staff or team would. And so the city really made us feel comfortable. The organization really made us feel comfortable, and it made that transition a lot more easier.
Definitely. And that parade was something, man. How many people you think were there?
Man, if I had to guess, I'd say somewhere between 20, 25,000. It had to be around there. It was a great sight, and it really helps. I think it will look a year, 2 years, 5 years down the line, I think that was a day that's really going to help the league in general. The popularity of the league. I think you were able to see the personalities that we have on our team is like no other. And and we embrace that as a staff. It's something that Coach Hammond really wanted them to feel like they can be themselves at all times, on and off the court. And I think that the impact that it'll have moving forward will be big time.
Awesome. Yeah, I agree. 'Cause I was there, and I'm like, I was expecting a lot of people, but I wasn't expecting, like, it was probably like double what I was expecting on
No
a
doubt.
Tuesday afternoon, you know?
Yep.
So yeah, it was a fun experience. I said the same thing, like, this is huge for the league. Like,
Yeah.
just this past season alone, I think I've seen so many people talking about the WNBA, watching every single game that
Hmm.
I've never seen, people follow. And it's just like, basketball is great. Like, these ladies are incredible. Shout out to
Man.
Chelsea Gray, a killer, like, real hooper in my eyes, man. So I'm loving it. But I did see when you guys won the championship. I was watching the game, and I saw you had reached out to Triple H, and you're like, we need a belt.
Right.
I'm like, hold on. We gotta, one of the coaches is a wrestling fan. Okay, we gotta get him on here. So
sure.
we're glad we got you here. How did you get interested in wrestling? Was it something you watched growing up, or did you kind of get adjusted late to it?
No, it's something I've watched and been into since I was young, since I was about 5 years old, and waking up on Sunday mornings and watching wrestling in my mom's bedroom. It was and it's something I just never really lost touch in. So I remember back when I was in middle school, and it was myself and a group of friends who were big wrestling fans, and one of our friends had a trampoline, and we would always use that as kind of the wrestling ring, and we would buy the little CDs with the wrestling entrance theme songs on it, and we kind of had the whole setup, uh, and just moving forward is something I really never lost touch in. When you're young, you grow up thinking that wrestling's real, and then the older you get, you kind of like it for everything that goes into it to put on the show. And so that's kind of where I'm at with it. I'm 34 years old, still a huge wrestling fan. Those guys I still look to as like superheroes, like we were kids. So it's been something that hopefully my newborn will pick up from.
Right. Definitely. So who were some of your favorites when you were coming up, like watching wrestling back in the day?
I'm a huge Bret Hart fan.
Yeah.
All-time favorite. Big Bret Hart fan. Big Sting fan. Sting, black and white Sting, NWO Sting.
WCW guy?
WCW, yep. Diamond Dallas Page, huge DDP.
Yeah.
And then I guess more new school, I'm into, like, I know it's more AEW, but I'm a big Adam Cole fan.
I love Adam Cole.
Cody Rhodes now with WWE, back to WWE. I'm a big Cody Rhodes fan. So those are kind of the newer school, but old school Bret, it starts with Bret Hart for me.
I'm a Shawn Michaels guy, so I'm glad we can get along right now.
Yeah. We'll see how long that lasts.
So even with like the grind of the NBA and the WNBA season, like, have you been able to kind of keep up with things that have been going
on? Wrestling wise?
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. I listen to wrestling podcasts all the time to stay up to date, both AEW and WWE, and New Japan. I try to stay up to date with as much as possible. I still watch when I can. Sometimes it's on, streaming. Sometimes it's on, afterwards if I'm not able to catch it live. But I always have some sort of wrestling near. The staff and the team kind of picked up on, that's one of my hobbies and one of the things I'm into. So they give me a tough time every now and then. But yeah, I'm a huge wrestling fan.
And you can't give the coach a hard time liking wrestling. Like,
right. Tell me about it.
Come on now. But we know it's pretty popular among like the NBA. Like Damian Lillard, walking in with the Stone Cold mask. I seen he had like some new Kane and Undertaker kicks that just dropped recently. Seen like Trae Young was on SmackDown a while back. Tyrese Halliburton has made some appearances. Dwight Howard just tried to try out for WWE not too long ago. So is there anybody like currently in the hoops world who we would be surprised to know is a wrestling fan?
My answer actually would have been Tyrese. That's kind of how our relationship started in Indiana last year, where we connected at. But outside of him, there wasn't really. I'm trying to think. In Toronto, there wasn't really anybody that was too big into wrestling. Chris Boucher, he was a big wrestling fan, and I never coached him in Indiana, but Jeff Teague, I heard, is a huge wrestling
Oh,
fan.
is he?
Mm-hmm.
I never would have thought that.
Yeah, so it's a few out there.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure. We got to find out. We got to get some more people on here. That's the case.
No
So I was gonna ask you know, I know you say you're a WWE fanatic, but you know, you tapped into other, you know, you said AEW, New Japan. What's somebody like right now that sticks out to you? Like, you know, you mentioned Adam Cole and all those guys. Like, is there anybody you just seeing you like he might be next up?
Yeah, I think MJF is probably the guy.
I love
Like
MJF, bro.
he's on another level, and I think that it's because he gives you some nostalgia of the old school where it's like he stays in character at all times, and you don't really know, you know, what's kayfabe and what's not. And so he's he's probably the guy that I think is the next guy up, and you can tell that he takes the business really seriously. And for lifelong diehard fans like I am, like, you appreciate that.
Same, man. So I want to get your take on, because it's a controversial thing with all these celebrities. They come in and they have these matches and they get the big billing over guys that are there every single week. And a lot of fans, they don't like that. Mm-hmm. But in my opinion, you bring in a guy like Bad Bunny, he literally moves to Florida, stops touring, stops making music to train to you know, for one match. Yep. Logan Paul, another guy. So like, yep. What is your take on these celebrities coming in and getting these big high profile matches?
I think it depends. I think certain people like a Bad Bunny or a Pat McAfee, how it started before he became full-time, like those guys you appreciate because you know that they were fans before their stardom and before the money came. You know, it's not just a one-off thing. You can see how much Bad Bunny put into his couple matches that he was in, and it's something that they take seriously. And so again, I think you appreciate that. Is the other celebrities that you're kind of like, you know, whether it's a Floyd Mayweather that comes into WrestleMania or whatever, like it's those kind of things you kind of gotta look past a little bit. But the celebrities who you can tell that their enthusiasm for the sport and for the business, and I think you can grow to appreciate that a little bit.
Yeah, I definitely agree with that one. So I got a real, you know, intricate question here. Take us back to Toronto, 2019 Eastern Conference semifinals, Game 7. Kawhi Leonard. Like, if you've been living under a rock, if you don't know what I'm talking about, but if you could compare that moment of that game winner, the energy in the crowd, like we're going to the conference finals off of a walk-off shot. That energy in there, if you could compare that to any moment in wrestling history, what would it be? What sticks out to you right now?
Man, that's a good one. I think that maybe like a Undertaker Mankind Hell in a Cell type of deal. It's just like one of those shocking moments. And I think that everyone was kind of struck a little bit just in how that game ended. And then I think even moving forward, like the basketball world was a little shocked that the Raptors came out on top. You know, it took some valiant efforts on our part. We went down 0-1 to Orlando in the first round, and then we went down 0-2 to Milwaukee in the conference finals. So it's like I think there was something that was unforeseen, but something that was well deserved. And so that's kind of what I would compare it to.
Yeah, I agree. I'm not even gonna lie to you. I was hating the whole postseason. I wanted Kawhi Leonard to come to the Lakers. I'm a big Laker fan, so I was thinking like, yo, if they lose, he might want to go somewhere else. But I appreciate y'all. Congratulations to y'all. Back then, that was actually very fun to watch, especially that Game 7 I just mentioned. Like, I was expecting it to go into OT, and then Kawhi said no. So good stuff, man. So real quick, I want to get you know, you mentioned you big Bret Hart guy. So I assume he would be on your Mount Rushmore for, you know, top 4 wrestlers. So can you round that out? Who's your top 4 all time?
Okay, we talking about like who I think is the best 4 or my favorite 4?
Let's get both. Let's get your objective best and then your subjective best.
Okay. Objectively, I think that I'm not a Hulk Hogan guy, but I think that any wrestling person would probably have to put him on a Mount Rushmore just for the popularity of the sport, not what it is today. Well, without him, so he would probably be on there for me. I think Austin would probably have to be on there. And I go back and forth between Rock and Cena. And here's why. I think that like popularity, I think is probably The Rock. I think that he brought a dynamic that wasn't seen and has yet to be seen since him. But then Cena, like the way that he carried the company for as long as he did, leading into the Roman Reigns era, I think that's something that's admirable and something that I'm not sure too many people would be able to do given the circumstances of moving from the Attitude Era into into the PG era. Like that's a tough thing to do.
Yeah.
And so if it came down to me, I would probably put Cena up there. But that's just me, and we can argue about that until the cows come home. But so that's my objective Rushmore. My subjective one would be Bret Hart for sure, Triple H. Hear me out, just wrestling wise, not anything outside of the ring, but I'm a huge Chris Benoit wrestling fan. So don't kill me for that one.
Oh no, it's all good.
We
don't usually say his name on here, but you'll guess who we gonna let it slide.
Okay, bleep that one out. So it's those three, and then probably Bret Hart. Probably Randy Orton.
Oh man, listen, that was the first wrestler I ever met as a kid.
Really?
And like he was a bad guy. He just joined Evolution. So they announced he was making an appearance. Like you can picture a 10-year-old me was like, this guy? But he was nice. Like he was really nice, man. So that's actually a memory. I mean, to this day, I still like, I love him. So that was dope, man. So I appreciate you. It's a dope Mount Rushmore selections. I totally agree with the John Cena thing. I can argue about John Cena all day. Like you can't tell me he's not up there with the legends just because of the era that he competed in.
No doubt.
So a big shout out to him too. So that's all I have, man. I told you about 20 minutes, so that's kind of where we are. So I do appreciate you for coming on here. I know you've been in Vegas for maybe about like 5-6 months now, and you've been, very, very busy. So I'm pretty sure. Did you know that we have a pretty big wrestling scene out here in Las Vegas?
So I didn't. I learned it a little bit just when I went to an AEW event here at Mandalay a couple months ago, and I was so upset because I missed Money in the Bank here. We were on the road in Minnesota, I think it was. So I missed that, but I learned it's a lot bigger than you would imagine, that you would think. But I'm excited to kind of jump into the scene and get acclimated a little bit more from that respect.
Yeah, for sure, man. If you didn't know, Young Kings Wrestling, we work with a promotion out here, Versus Pro Wrestling.
Okay.
I shoot their shows sometimes. So they got a show coming up next Sunday. If you want to come check it out, I can give you some information on that.
For sure, I'm there.
It's a good time, man. So I'd like to thank you again for joining us today. Can you let the people know where to find you if they just, want to keep up with you, keep up with everything that's going on?
Sure. Yep. Instagram is trmarsh12. On Twitter, it's at Hoop for Thought, HOOP, the number 4, THOUGHT. Email trmarsh12@gmail.com or tmarsh@lasvegasaces.com.
Yeah, man, I better see y'all at some Aces games next year too, man. We got the plug now. So we're going to be there too.
Hey, anytime you want to come through, you let me know.
Hey, man, for sure, man. So I'd like to thank you again. We appreciate you for coming on, taking your time out of your busy schedule. I know you got the newborn out there, so I want to let you get back to him. And we appreciate you, man.
Thanks a lot. I appreciate you having me.
Take care of me.
All right, sounds good.